coffee Sunday morning. Welcome. You have to excuse me for being a couple of minutes late. I had big orders for bagels and everything this morning, but we have a great show for you today. My co-host, Tommy Mealy, will not be with us today. We had a preconceived thing in our contract. He had a family gathering. So today I brought with me my buddy, Tom Scotta. Tom, welcome, buddy.
Great to see you, David. Thank you for
Man,
having me.
you know, Tommy, when I had to bring in a guest host today, I actually made one phone call, and it was to you.
And it wasn't because my name was Tom, to fill in with Tom.
Afterwards, we knew your name was Tom, and that had a nice ring to it and everything.
Right.
And people say, well, why do you have Tom? You know, who's this Tom Scotta guy that you're bringing on? So I didn't bring on Tom Scotta because he's a franchise guy and helps put people into business and goes along with our theme of igniting business.
Right.
I must say I didn't bring you on because you wrote a book, The Magic of Choosing Uncertainty. That's not the reason. I brought you on, buddy, because you got a great vibe.
Well,
You got a vibe for the Long Island business community. What do you got for us this morning? I'm all frazzled for being a couple of minutes late.
don't be frazzled. This is a great way to start off a Sunday morning. So I'm happy to be here. This is very exciting because things are moving up in the Long Island economy. So things are going really well, and I see that by people actually getting jobs and people buying businesses and providing jobs. Every day I'm seeing more and more expansion, so we're slowly crawling out of the Great Recession is what I like to call it.
Now, have you been watching our show, Tom? Have you been watching for the 1 week and 5 minutes we've been on yet? Have you paid attention yet?
I've been paying attention to you for many years, you know that.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? But, man, we're looking to give a platform to regular people, even our guest here today, Eugenia Carahalius, right here from Suffolk, Janine Giorgente, Long Island business people who have their businesses but also doing good stuff in the community.
And that's what I love about your gatherings is that it's regular folks from mostly the two counties of Long Island. And I was just saying recently to somebody that, as franchise companies look at expanding, they love Long Island. Why do they love Long Island? Because it's a island, which is like a capsule with 3 million people, right? And almost everyone has a house, a dog, a kid, a car, and they all need to be fed, maintained, and so the economy here is always bubbling, and it's a great place to do business.
I think Long Island's one of the greatest regions in the country. I mean, to me, I always say Long Island's the place that could set the example for the rest of the country to follow. Tommy, a couple of things. You've been around what we do, igniting business,
Right.
and goodness speaking up.
That's it.
From the hearts of regular people.
That's it.
Me, I'm the one who came up with this stuff, so my opinion's biased. What's your opinion on this for our viewers who might not understand or see what's taking place?
It was great. The igniting business stuff is great because I love business. I could talk about business all day long. That's what I do. It's in my heart. But what really caught on for me and what you do is the goodness speaking up part of it. Because I preach every day to my clients, to my candidates, and to my friends and family that they need to kind of tune down the media and tune up the positive stuff in their life. So, I always tell people you have to go on a diet. And I'm not talking about stopping bagels. We're always concerned about what we're putting in our mouth.
Don't stop bagels.
We'll
This
never
is
stop
Long
bagels.
Island, bagel capital of the world.
That's right. But don't stop eating. We're always concerned about what we put in our mouth, but not with what we put in our head. And I think that's the most important thing, because what you put in your head every morning is how your day unfolds. So when you're sitting there with a cup of coffee reading the newspaper, whatever paper it is, you're meditating on all that stuff, which you cannot control. I don't care if it's stuff in the Middle East. I don't care if it's the stock market. There's nothing that you can do about it right now in this moment except for feel bad about it. So if you start off your day feeling bad, the rest of your day is bound to be bad.
Well, I want to make it good, but I want to talk what you're calling bad for a second, because I'm seeing a time in society, and it concerns me, buddy. And like I said, you put off a good vibe. You're a business guy, and in the second segment, I hope to get into your background. You were just in the book review and everything. But I think it's a rough time in society when loving, caring people want to fight.
Right.
And it's a balance, because they're loving, caring people, yet with all the, for lack of a better word, yuckiness going on in this world and stuff like that, It's like they want to fight. And here we are, we try to spread positive and love and be good and all that. And you can't stop it. It also gets annoying when you spread too much love, when people want to fight.
Right, right.
I need help with this. Help me, Tommy. What's
Yeah.
up?
I wish I had an answer for all of that. What I do is think about, why is everybody so angry, right? And it's because we're taught about loss and not about sharing. I don't want to lose my property. I don't want to lose my money. I don't want to lose whatever. And it really is, you should be sharing whatever you have and not fighting over it. But we're taught to like fight over everything. And then, you know, even if you're just a loving person living here on Long Island, you're a regular guy, have a regular job, after a while, all that yuckiness, as you call it, seeps into your head. Then you start feeling depressed, and then you start having a drink after work, and then you start doing stuff like that, and then you eat a little bit too much, and before you know it, you're depressed, you know, overweight, can't move, you know, and so it seeps into the regular life. And what we need to do, again, is turn on the positive and not the negative. And the way you do that is by choosing what you think, and the way you choose what you think is choose what you read and watch, and that will help you stay above the water or above the yuckiness. It's only your world is what you choose it to be.
Yeah. You know what happens when I get ready to put together the show? Everything's a million thoughts go through my head. So like when I'm by myself, I'm almost hyperventilating. I got fuses going off in my mind. You see, but I got two thoughts going through my head. You know, just for our audience, as far as, you know, they watch the show, we want them to leave with something. Right. So the first is it was a quote by Jack Walsh: "Control your destiny, or someone else will."
Yeah.
And I just watch it, and in this society, and yeah, people are there to help, and great teammates and everything, but in the end, we got to control our own destiny, guys, whether it's us putting together this show to try to make something from it, whether it's you putting together your business, whether it's you dealing with personal stuff, you know, control your own destiny, or someone else will. You're a big quote guy. What's your thought on that one, buddy?
That's a great quote. And if you don't, I always tell people, if you're not working for your own dream, you're working for somebody else's dream.
You might as well work for your own.
So you might as well work for your own and do what's important to you. And it's not about all about making money all the time, because if you're loving what you're doing, it's, you know, the money will come. And at the end of the day, you know, we come without money into this world, and we leave without any money. I've never seen a Brinks armored truck in a funeral procession.
No.
So don't worry about making money, and then end up depressed when you don't have it. But do what you love, help people. If you're helping people, nothing else really matters.
That's a great spirit, and a spirit amongst many in Long Island. Tommy, the term igniting business, before we'll get into our second segment, I just want the readers to know. To me, guys, in today's age, if you tune in for one thing, I hope you leave with value. So the thing they say we're good at is creating business activity. Right. Advertising sucks. The idea of just placing an ad and waiting for things to happen has always been a gamble at best.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Placing an ad, waiting for things to happen. It used to be the only choice that people had. Put an ad in the movies, put an ad on the newspaper, the radio, but one and done.
Right.
I don't think that works.
No, it's not happening anymore, especially in traditional media. Non-traditional media, which is now traditional, which is internet advertising, all that stuff, consumers become savvy. So, you know, people hesitate to click on something because now they're going to get inundated with emails. So when you're doing these interactive campaigns on the internet, for instance, and I've been really looking at what they call content marketing right now, you can get anything you want for free on the internet, right? You want to learn how to, you know, put in sheetrock, which, you know, my son broke the ceiling putting up Christmas decorations.
So he just looked up that video. Yes,
look up the video, and you could, you know, no matter what you want to change your tire, it's all free, right? So what you have to do as a person in business is give content that will help people. And then they will come back and use you or recommend you or whatever it is. You have to create a relationship. People are getting tired. Like in the franchise world, before the internet, there was always franchise expos. So the only way you could really sell a franchise is by advertising in the back of the New York Times, or you go to an expo and you sell your franchise. Then the internet came. And all they did is advertise on the internet, and trade shows dwindled. In all categories, not just franchising, but trade shows have gone down because you could really hop on the internet and see anything that you want. But now what we're seeing is trade shows are on the rise again because people want that human interaction. It's the whole, what they call the belly-to-belly sale. You got to be able to look somebody in the eyes, ask questions, and get answers, and you build a trust relationship. So I see that happening right before my eyes, where people are not clicking on the internet, but they're out there, and they want the content, but they want the human interaction.
No, I love it. Back to igniting business and advertising sucks stay away from ad takers. If the only thing someone's doing is taking your ad, a 30-second spot or a 1-minute spot or an ad in the paper, half a page, quarter of a page, stay away from ad takers. Surround yourself with igniters of business. And to me, igniting business starts with your hard work, determination, quality product and service. Meaning if someone doesn't have that, no one in the world could help them. Right. And actually a good campaign will hurt them because they'll get busy, but people know they don't do a good job.
Yeah.
But after that, it's about using multiple tools. People today, they have more tools than they actually have time in the day to handle.
That's true.
They actually can't do all the things that are out there to do.
Yeah.
And every company's different. Everyone has their own personality. Every industry is different. So what's good for the electrician might not be good for the fashion designer or the therapist or the attorney. So everyone's different. So use multiple tools. Mix web with warmth. Mix web with warmth. You were just saying how trade shows came back. You see, with the web, everyone wanted the web to be their magical salesperson. That's because most people are lazy. They like quick fixes. Like, oh, the web, but they've already seen that it's not their magical salesperson.
That's it.
So on the web, your web should be pristine. If you have one period or comma off on your website, if they mess that up, well, then they're going to mess up with me. Right. So on the web, all the different tools, and it should be perfect. But then mix it with warmth. And the warmth comes, let it be a trade show. The warmth could come from actually making a phone call these days.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. What? Someone actually called me?
Yeah, exactly.
The warmth could come from planning an event, whether it be a function at your office or one that you handle, or maybe go out to one of the many different events taking place in Long Island. So that's the warmth. Make yourself easy to remember. Now, people get stuck with that a little bit. And the reason I think they get stuck with it is they might look at everything like it's a big deal. Guys, there are no rules in marketing. You're allowed to mix things up and trade things off. But don't discount how important it is to make yourself easy to remember. And when people try to do that, they're not changing their identity. I like to use American Express as an example. Everyone knows American Express, but they own thecard.com. They own booming.com. It's part of their campaigns.
Right.
And they just use it to give themselves some pop. 516 ads, easy to remember. Yep. Make yourself easy to remember. And then get out there and make things happen, the activity and everything that goes with that.
I agree.
Man, my producers are telling me we're going to a break soon. How long do I have, producers, before a break? You got to teach me these things. Man, we're going to go to a commercial. Well, I guess it's right now.
That's it.
We'll be back right after this.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidisciplinary practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our 2 offices. Thank you.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hog's hair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
And we're back. Mr. Scotta, before I ask you about yourself, because like I said, I saw you at the book review for the opening of your book, and I think $5 from every book went back to the Ronald McDonald House.
That's correct.
I love that, buddy. But before I ask you about all that, and you were great, so I look forward to it, we just want to thank our sponsors. You've seen this whole thing that we're doing from Long Island, and this show and the events, and nothing takes place without the sponsors. So we have great sponsors. We have Premier Jewelry, the law offices of Peter Wagner, podiatrist Dr. Mary Carlson, and of course later on we have now, I guess, my personal designer, Janine Giargente. You've actually seen her, a world-class designer right here in Melville, Long Island, soon to be in Woodbury too.
Wow.
Tommy, you come from Brooklyn, New York. You were part of a biker type thing. I don't know. I think you went in witness protection for a while and came back. But now you're igniting business. You put out good vibes, make people feel better, get everything we like to represent.
Well, thank you.
Tell me, tell Long Islanders your story.
Well, you know, I grew up in a regular kind of, you know, middle-class family. My dad was a cop, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I had 2 younger brothers, so I was the oldest. And so, you know, everything was great for me when I was a kid until my brothers were born, you know. And then,
Sorry, bros.
right. Then I had to, like, share my toys and share my room, and I was always the apple of my mother's eye, and then all of a sudden things changed a little bit, right?
So no more fruits and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was like, come on. So I cried out for attention, right? And then my mom put me in a Catholic school in Brooklyn. And so I was, you know, dressed like 300 other good Catholic school boys and trying to stand out, but couldn't, so I had to do bad things to stand out, you know. And then got into motorcycles, like at 17 years old. I remember building old Triumph, a 1969 Triumph, on my mother's coffee table.
You built it?
in-
It's one thing to ride a bike. You actually have to
we
build
were,
it?
we were building them, and yeah, a couple of friends of mine, and right on my mother's coffee table, I had the motorcycle, and I was taking the wheels off in the back. It was like she came home from work, and it was like, wow, what, you know.
As a Jewish kid, we couldn't do motorcycles. The most I was getting was a little Matchbox motorcycle, but Scotta. So motorcycles, Brooklyn, go on,
so-
buddy.
Yeah, so one thing led to another, and I had the opportunity to ride with these really, badass biker guys, and I was impressed. I was young. I remember I was about 19 years old, and I started hanging around with these guys. And I remember my mom always said, you show me your friends, and I'll show you who you are. And my friends back then were Joe the Joker and Jess the Mess and Jimmy the Skull. And I was like, this is awesome. And they said, with this club, if we play our cards right, we'll be the Brooklyn chapter of the Hells Angels. And that for me was like, that was Mecca, So, when I was 10 years old, all my friends wanted to be on the New York Yankees. I wanted to be in the Hells Angels. So this was a big thing for me. And then I realized, after a few years in that kind of life, it wasn't for me. I'm way too mellow for that kind of stuff. And I had to ease my way out of it. And that's a whole nother story and another book in itself that I'll share some other time. But it was a really great experience, though, because people say, wow, that was bad, and really there's no good or bad. It was an experience, and it was a learning experience. And even back then, with those kind of folks, I learned how to control my own destiny, and also what it was to not control your own destiny and become part of, the system, and not control your own destiny.
Part of growing up in Brooklyn, shout out to Brooklyn here from Long Island. A lot of Brooklynites here.
Woo.
Man, you learn some stuff on the streets of Brooklyn that you just can't learn anywhere else. They call it that street sense, but how much has that helped you in life?
Right. And good point. I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, it's about being able to speak and talk to people and bring that into business and treat people the way you want to be treated.
Intuition.
It's all that gut stuff, that gut feeling you have. So it was, really quite an experience. And I think about my kids now growing up on Long Island. It's just a different world, totally different. And, we didn't have cars. We took buses and trains everywhere. And now Long Island, everybody has a car. So, my kids turn 17, they get a car, and that's kind of the way it is on Long Island.
It's like it's expected.
It's like expected, yeah, it's weird.
Which isn't necessarily good, guys. Too much expecting over here. We need more earning, a little less expecting.
And my kids even say that. They feel like, wow, they realize, we're a little spoiled, and they get it.
My 20-year-old said their generation was the coddle generation.
Yeah.
I'm 49. We come from the worst divisions of parenting. We grew up where we were afraid of our parents, and now we grow up, we're afraid of our kids. What happened here? We had no one to be afraid of us.
That's so true. That is really, I really like that point. I got to think about that.
And it is true. We grew up afraid to our parents. All my dad and mom had to do was look at me, I'd be crying.
Right, yeah.
And now all my kids got to do is look at me, I feel like crying. Tommy, how'd you go from a biker guy? I don't even want to skip business. Buddy, bringing you on the show tied this really all together for me, because on one end, once again, business broker, setting up people in franchises. For Igniting Business, meet business brokers, meet franchise guys, because the people who open up the franchise are the same people who they're getting their accountant from, and they're getting their attorney from, and they're ordering their promotional items. So for Igniting Business, good guy to team up with. But how'd you go from being a biker to writing The Magic of Choosing Uncertainty? And I brought you here because I don't know the word, but this guy's a deep guy. How's a biker guy so deep, man?
Well, I think it's an interesting story. And I never thought it was an interesting story until people started saying, well, it's an interesting story you have. And so I started really thinking about this book and everything. But part of what I did in the late 80s, right when I married my wife, Gina, she became a New York City police officer, and I became a transit worker. I worked in the subway system. I was there for about 13 years, got promoted and went over to the Long Island Railroad, and I ran their customer communication program for about 2 years. But I got frustrated with the bureaucracy, and I wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to really do what you always talk about, ignite business, match people, help people. So I got in touch with a company called FranChoice, who I now work with, And FranChoice matched me to a smoothie company. And I was able to, I got into that business, spent everything I had, my life savings and more, and built this smoothie business. In 4.5 years, I was blessed enough to sell it. I semi-retired at 41 years old, and FranChoice said, hey, come and help people do what you've done. So I now work with FranChoice. It's been 9 years. I help people find franchises all over the country. One thing that I found, the impetus for this book, The Magic of Choosing Uncertainty, is that so many people want to make a change. I think the statistic is something like 86% of people do not have job satisfaction in America. And they would like to do something different. So I get a lot of folks who call me and they're like, Tom, I want to buy a business. I want to get into a franchise, do my own thing. And I take them through a process. And it's a self-introspection process to figure out really what they want to do, what their goals are, what they want to get out of their business. And in the 11th hour, 99% of people do not move ahead. And it's for one reason, fear of the unknown. And I feel that I had that fear when I was leaving one of the best jobs in America, working for the subway system in New York. I mean, you can't get fired unless you do something really stupid. I mean, it's
Full benefits,
Full-
benefits for life, all that kind
pension.
of stuff.
I gave up the pension. I gave up the benefits and everything to follow my passion. It was crazy. My kids were small. I had a house on Long Island with the mortgage and the taxes and the whole thing. And I decided to plunge ahead and do it anyway. And I did it. And the thing that, you can't really put it on paper and you can't really explain it, but when you do really, I want to call it crazy things, when you do things that are not normal, what you're expected to do, the universe comes to your aid and magic happens. And that's the magic of choosing uncertainty. People come in your way. You know, I met you, for instance. If I would have stayed with
Not
my
all
job-
good things happen. He met
Come on,
me.
get
You
out
know?
But no, seriously. I mean, I met so many great people on Long Island. through
Great
the business
people.
community. Great people.
You become
Great
friends
people.
with them too.
Right.
You're going for business, but
Right.
you actually become friends.
Absolutely. I was golfing with a bunch of people last week from Advantage Payroll. Great company. Some folks from Sandler Training out in Hauppauge. Just, I'm friends with these folks. I eat and drink with them. I mean, it's not business anymore. It's friends. So, but it's all about taking that chance. And when you take that chance, and I'm not talking about throwing spaghetti on the wall and see if it sticks. I mean, you got to do your research. You got to be smart. You don't want to sell ice.
Look
in
at all the
Alaska,
dot
you
the
know.
T's, cross the T's,
Right.
dot the I's, all the details.
Right. And then you got to do it. You got to take the chance. And the thing that I find, and you started to allude to this before, is you got to get out there and do it. A lot of people buy a franchise, and I say, listen, if you're the kind of person that thinks you're going to join a gym and lose weight, you're not going to join a franchise and make money. You got to work the business the way you have to work the gym.
Hey man, you got to
equipment,
greet
know?
people at the counter, whether it's an ice cream franchise, a dry cleaning franchise, a laundry. Hello, Mrs. Smith. Good morning. How may I help you? Hello, Mrs. Jones. Good morning. How may I help you? Know the people's names. Have a good vibe. Have music in the air.
Right.
But Tommy, and only because this segment is short, and then we have our great guest. But a few things you'd say that people got to get started. There is a great quote. You don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great.
There you go.
Because if people are waiting for perfection,
Right.
they're going to have a rough time. It's never perfect. There's always going. If you have a brain in your head, there's always going to be doubt. You're always going to be. It's the people who don't have any doubt that you got to worry about.
It's kind of like, I always say, it's like having a baby. It's never a good time.
But I want to go back to the magic of choosing uncertainty, because me and you have known each other for years. I saw unhappiness, uncertainty. I thought it was a little negative, but then I thought about it more.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking this week in preparation for this show. It's a worrisome time for people when you can't promise the people that you love that everything's going to be all right.
Mhm.
Imagine, that's not a good time, man. The people you love, the one thing I always want to tell my daughters, my family, my kids, anyone who I care about something, but don't worry, everything's going to be all right. But in today's world,
So
it
uncertain.
might be a little bit rough to say everything's going to be all right. And your book, when I thought about it for a while, I'm not trying to give you props or sell more books. Buy his book. He's a great guy, but that's separate. But the magic of choosing uncertainty, in some ways, if we start to at least embrace uncertainty, at least it's not the enemy, because people don't like uncertainty. They like certainty. They like to be say, this is this is this. But
That's
there
the challenge.
is so much uncertain in the world that if you look at it in a different way, maybe it wouldn't overwhelm people
Right.
as much as it does
So-
when it occurs.
That's all right. So the only thing that's certain is uncertainty every day in your life. And if you embrace it, then it's not uncertain anymore. You know that it's going to be a different day. I mean, the sun is still going to rise. And then you could create your own destiny the way you want to. And Or, you know, you don't have to. You could stay in the job. And I always say to people, like when they're looking for a franchise, you know, you'll be able to find the right franchise for you. That's really not difficult. There's a lot of great business opportunities. Your decision always comes down to the decision between uncertainty and unhappiness. And most people choose unhappiness because they feel that there's safety in it, right? Because I know that I'm going to get a job. I have a job and I'm going to get a paycheck. Until one day, of course, they downsize you and you don't have a paycheck anymore. So there is no certainty in that job either. So
For
you
sure.
can create your own business and build your customer base, and that will allow you to actually have some certainty because you're not depending on just one person or one job to give you a business, to give you a paycheck, but your customers are your paycheck. And if you treat them well, they'll keep on using your service, and you'll have some certainty in that respect. But it's all about making magic happen. And it's when you do something like I never realized it when I was doing it, but when I bought the smoothie franchise, I gave people jobs. There was a lot of youngsters working for me that were, you know, between high school and college, that, you know, in that age group. And now, you know, it's 14 years later, some of these kids are married and they have a baby, and they always, you know, I see them on Facebook and stuff, and they say, you know what, that summer I worked for you was like the best summer of my life. We had such a great time. And that really touches me.
That makes you feel good. You made a difference in someone's life.
Right. And I know there was one young girl who worked for me and said, you know, your wife is like a role model to me because she's a female who's a police officer in New York City. And, you know, we never really thought about it. We just wanted to do something different and you know, have some fun and do business and not be like the civil service worker. But we just touched so many people's lives and met so many people.
Makes you
and
feel good.
Yeah.
You know, before we get to the next segment, you know, you mentioned your wife, and I had forgotten now. I remember in the past, she was a police officer, so that's cool already. A woman police officer for 2 decades, but now she's and has been for years, a comedian and part of the Italian Chicks and gets out there. But what I'm leading to with this, and when our next guest comes out, man, a support system.
Yeah.
To have a great teammate to work with. I mean,
Right.
you and Gene, how important is that to have a great support system in this world to get through stuff? You got one, buddy.
Well, and that's so true. And I'm blessed to have that. But I'll tell you, a whole nother segment we could do another day is keeping a relationship together, because Gina and I had challenges, right? And we're just kind of getting to the point now where we're actually talking about it on stage and talking to people and groups about how to really, you know, we're together 31 years. We're married for 26, and it wasn't all great. And so what really holds something together for 26 years, you got to be able
Well, we're going to find out about support system challenges and that right after this commercial break. We'll be
Awesome.
back.
Thanks.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! Power!
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Old Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power. Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power.
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
And we're back. Wow. In today's crazy world, it's very simple. I had to call my therapist in. Hello, Eugenia Cara. How are you? Good morning, David. Nice to see you, Eugenia. Tom, Eugenia. Say hi to each other.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Oh, good.
Great.
Jeannie, I wasn't going to have you on the show. Well, no, it's real. We were discussing it. Everyone knows we're friends. Why is David bringing Jeannie on the show? Like, if they're friends, you're not here because you're my friend today and we're friends. You're here today because what we were discussing before. So much going on in this world when loving, caring people in this world have when they want to fight. In this case with the terrorists and stuff, they want to hurt people. They want to fight. I don't like when I want to hurt people. I like loving people. I like hugging people. I like making people laugh. But I want to destroy these terrorist type people. And then it wasn't a few long ago. It's out of the headlines, but if a Robin Williams could be sad in this world, then a lot of people could be sad in this world. And we've done shows together, and the drug epidemic, I'm sure, is everywhere. So those three things alone, stress in society, people being sad, drug addiction in Long Island. Help us, Jeannie. I'm touched by all these things in some way. I know someone touched by all of those problems. Help me and help our audience.
Well, thanks a lot for getting me all depressed.
I don't want to get you depressed. I want you to help us.
Well, just the other day, remember we went to sushi and there were two big, huge TVs in the restaurant and it had News 12 on. And we were like, oh my God. They just kept flipping to negativity. That's what we were speaking about earlier, Tom. And it's like we are being inundated. So we have to get clever in how we shelter ourselves, how we shelter our children.
Mm-hmm. You cannot be bombarded morning, noon, and night. And Tom was saying, starting your day, reading the paper, that's what you're feeding yourself.
But society being bombarded by negativity has been like a bad habit for decades, literally. I mean, it's like
Sure.
a bad habit.
From all time. So it's up to us. What are we going to put in place to bring the proper balance into our lives?
I just want to make a point that, we're always told when we're younger, you must be informed, read the newspaper, and we do projects on current events when we're in 6th grade. That's just the media telling us that we need to be informed so they could sell more newspapers,
But excuse me, I am well informed. I don't read the paper, I don't watch the news. So how the heck do I have all the information of what's going on worldwide?
And I know you're a therapist, but and no one might have the answer for this. How do you have that balance of it's out there, it's stress, it's real, so you don't want to be like la 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 la, everything's great in this world, but how do you keep that balance of understanding what's going on, yet at the same time staying positive? You know, what's your take on that?
My take on that is, instead of focusing on what you're taking out of your life, focus on what you're adding in.
I like that.
Okay? So add in all the positive things. Are you involved in church, temple, mosque with your family? Do you have dinner every night with your family? Is everybody on the run? What are you doing together as a family to promote love? And you were talking about giving and sharing. You with all the charitable organizations you get involved with. It's take the focus off the me, put it on we.
I'm a big we guy.
Yeah.
I often say we when I should say I, and people look at me like, what? You know, what do you mean? We or I? I know you're actually a lot of people, you know, big we people. I like we people.
Right. It's good.
I don't think people focus on the desired outcome. They lament and obsess about their current circumstance, and then they miscreate by accident all the time. They're bringing forth things that they absolutely don't want in their life, and they're wondering, how the heck did this happen?
Yeah, Jeannie, 2 points, and I hope I get them in order in our segment. You know, one is it's hard to be a caretaker, whether someone's upset with depression or mental illness. You know, they can have people love them and care about them and stuff, and they're worried all the time, or let it be a drug problem. They could get them into rehab and all that. So the idea of being a caretaker, when you give it your all, yet the person's not responding. So in one way, I guess the point I want to make is if someone is going through problems, they could have all the love and everything in the world, and that's great. But something inside of them has to want to get better too. They have to want to get off of drugs. They got to want to start feeling good again. So that's one point. And then the other point, and me and Tom were alluding to it, I don't think anyone does anything without a support system. Anyone who thinks they do something by themselves in this world might end up being by themselves. So just the idea of wanting to get better, and also the idea of a support system. I mean, you must face this and see this every day.
Well, especially with the drug epidemic that's going on, what we offer folks for support are organizations like LICAD, Long Island Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence. They have fantastic support for the parents and other loved ones that are affected by the drug abuser in the family. There's LIRA, Long Island Recovery Association. You know, we have our big recovery dance this Friday night.
When is that?
Friday night at the Deer Park Community Center on Phelps Lane.
You got like 300 people there last year coming out and enjoying
right.
themselves, getting off of drugs and coming out and living a sober life. I mean, that's what that event
And
concentrates
realizing
on.
you could have fun without drugs and alcohol. Yes, you can.
That's amazing, right?
It's a
But
wow.
you can.
And you
It's
can.
like, who knew?
Yeah.
You have to see the young kids out there dancing and everything. It's wonderful.
Hey, if this show could do anything, guys, and we're always trying to do stuff, and I don't mean me, you, and everyone who we deal with, we're always trying to do stuff. Imagine if we could take the stigma off of going to need help. Because it's okay to need help, ladies and gentlemen. What might not be okay is not going to get it.
Right.
And realizing that you don't have to do it all by yourself. There is help out there. There is a lot of support out there.
But there's a stigma that comes from saying I need help, or people think there's a stigma that comes.
And that was brought out by the Robin Williams tragedy, that we know people that are depressed and we're afraid to ask, and they're afraid to speak up for themselves and ask for help. And it's, you know, if you had, you know, God forbid, cancer or some high cholesterol or whatever, you're not afraid to ask for help for that. And a mental kind of thing is the same thing. It's just mental. It's affecting your brain as opposed to your heart.
But it would be nice to be able to do something about that stigma. And I got to tell you something. If someone thinks they're a little off or a little overwhelmed, I may be a little worried about the people who aren't overwhelmed in this world.
Yeah, right.
This world's overwhelming. You know, don't be afraid to say that you got something wrong with you. Maybe it's a sign of bravery to admit it, as opposed to a stigma. Wouldn't that be nice to make that little switch so people could stop being so afraid of stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, the good that can come out of Robin Williams' passing is that for lay people, they don't understand the level of despair and hopelessness that somebody that has a chronic clinical depression, what they're going through. and the contemplation of taking their life, what they're going through internally, they know that they're affecting their loved ones that they're leaving behind. People say, oh, it's so selfish, how could they do that? It's like you have no idea what they're experiencing, that they think that's their only way out. And of course, you know, it's a temporary situation that's like so blown out of proportion for them that they think the only option is to commit suicide. And there are infinite possibilities, and if we all come from a standpoint that we're looking for a win-win solution, people can get the help that they need.
Jeannie, my producers are telling me we're going to break. On behalf of you and all the great people who do good work in the community, man, if you have the ability to make someone happy, do it. The world needs more of that. We'll be back right after this.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Ou aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this, you'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
And we're back. Tommy, the hour goes by fast. We hardly have any more time, but we got one more great segment in. Janine Giorgente, New York. Thank you for being here today. Tommy, Janine, Tommy.
Great to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Man,
I love
we're-
your segment.
Oh, thank you.
He's so positive, and I liked what he said about not watching the media and all that, because it really is a big downer.
Well, thank
right?
you.
Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna
Janine,
read your book.
yeah, Janine, you're one of the sponsors of the show. I don't know if people know that or not, but you're not even here because you're a sponsor. You're here because, man, we like to ignite business. And here you are, Giorgente, New York. And actually, I actually know it's around the world, but we even want more people to know about Giorgente, New York. For 40 years, 4 decades in business, family, 3 generations, I believe. How do you keep a 3-generation business going in today's tough economy, Janine?
Well, actually, my daughter, who's sitting here watching right now, and my son also want to be in the business. So this would be 5 generations. Wow. And you know, I have to tell you, we're not twisting their arm, and no one twisted my arm, and no one twisted my mother's arm, and no one twisted her mother's arm. So what am I telling you? It's all from the mother's side of the family.
Okay.
Isn't it amazing? Everybody thinks it's from my father's side. It's actually all from the mother's side of the family.
Us guys, Tommy, we're a little weak. You know, one thing, listen, you turned me from a before model into, at least the people who like my relatives, an after model, because I should be the before model, but she dresses me up. Tommy already saw one of my suits. He's like,
love this. What a great suit. And I have a shirt that's like that, but not as cool as that. That's one of your shirts too, right?
See, I should have you today. We're doing a photo shoot before and after.
Well, oh yeah, I'll get it
so-
before. But dressing for success matters. You know, here we have a guys and ladies. You go out there, you get dressed a little nicer. It makes a difference in your presentation when
Really
you're
does.
out there.
And it makes you feel better, too. I feel that. I like to wear a nice shirt every once in a while, as you know. But it makes you just feel better from the inside. It really does.
You live this. And my passion's for marketing. His passion's franchising and uncertain. Your passion is fashion and dressing for success.
Yeah, my passion is actually people, and it's making them look their best. And I had a young guy yesterday. I was at a trade show, and he came over to me and he said, he says, I wasn't wearing suits before. He's like maybe 27 years old, very handsome young guy. He said, now that I'm wearing the suit, he says, you've no idea what's happened to me this week. He said, people are coming over to me. They're making deals with me. They think I'm special. He says, I'm never taking this thing off. So there's a lot of power in dressing. There's a lot of power in presentation. And when you think about it, every industry uses this. Why don't we use this? I mean, perfume. Can you imagine just a perfume without the bottle, without the embellishment, without the packaging? Everything is packaging. So we also need packaging. And the way we look will evoke certain emotions to us. It also makes us feel better. It's a win-win thing.
And for you, I wore the suit, but actually nicely. You actually have this look, Tommy, the jean and sport jacket look. I wouldn't want people just to think it's pure like corporate business suits. That jean with the right jacket and shirt look is very popular.
Most of the business I'm doing today is not a suit. People think dress for success is a suit. It's not. It's looking great no matter what you're doing, whether you're on your bike, whether you're on a show, whether you're meeting somebody. It could be a sport jacket with a pair of jeans. It could be a casual outfit. It's just a matter of branding yourself with nice clothing that looks good with your hair color, eye color, skin tone, your body shape, your personality, and it becomes like a part of you. It's like a branding.
And I like our viewers to know things that they never learned before. And when we were doing our measuring and stuff, we were talking, you taught me some stuff. You taught me why the buttons were on a coat, and you taught me something about the doctor's sleeves. Tell our viewers what that is. They'll never forget it. This is great stuff.
This is fashion trivia. Dun,
Fashion
dun,
history.
dun,
What do you got
dun,
for us?
dun, dun.
Two things in
Okay, yeah.
fashion history.
Okay, two things in fashion history. First, you asked about the buttons on the sleeve.
Yes.
Well, we're going back in time now. Imagine the Tsar, and he's standing, and all his army men are standing in front of him in a line, in a row, and it's freezing, and they're all going like this. Well, what did he do? He put these big buttons on the sleeves so they couldn't do this anymore. Hence, this is why we have buttons on our suit sleeves.
So guys couldn't wipe their nose in the sub-freezing weather.
Leave it to men.
So it was a military thing. I thought it was a fashion statement and it was a military thing.
Oh, that's okay.
And then you were talking about the doctor's, what is that?
Yeah, it's the, actually, like you see how yours open up? And I'll show you. These are called doctor sleeves because they're functional, right? They open up. Now you have to remember, let's go back to our early 1900s or the 1800s. If you were a doctor, you were a gentleman. If you were performing surgery, if you were delivering a baby, you did not take off your coat because that would be a sign of someone being not polite. So what you'd have to do to deliver that baby, you'd have to unbutton these things. You'd have to roll up your sleeves. Hence, this is why they're called doctor sleeves.
Yeah,
Oh,
you see.
wow.
Did you know that, Scotta?
No, and none of mine open up, so that means I'm like second rate, I guess.
Nah, well, Janine can fix that for you.
Yeah.
Hey, Janine, whether meeting Tommy over here, we're going to have a sponsor party for Live from Long Island.
Yeah.
Because, when it
I'm
comes
down
to
with that.
business, look, you're here and you already want a suit. Peter Wagner, our real estate attorney, is sponsor. He's going to love the suits. Premier Jewelry, my buddy James Cruz, you don't know this. The same way that I, with all my heart, tell you that this woman here is one of the top designers in the world. And I believe, that's what I love, to have world-class anything right here in Long Island, New York. My buddy James Cruz from Premier Jewelry, total world-class guy. And it's right here on this island, buddy. And when business people get citizens on Long Island like us come together, we get to produce a show like this. Separate from, I know, and we won't get into it, we don't even have time, but separate from fashion, I know you've done a lot of good stuff around the world, and I don't want to tie you into that. But I know you have some worldly views too, and we were talking about people feeling better and getting out there and all that. You're a regular Long Islander. We invite you here, separate from being a world-class guru. what do you got for our audience? If I have so much faith in you, you don't scare. What do you got for our audience in this world? How do you like them to feel?
You know, I think that what you said really resonated with me. Is that people dwell on the negative part, and they make it bigger than life. And you know, it can consume you. You know, what you read in the newspaper it can be a downer. What you feed into your mind is how you feel. And I stopped. I mean, you know, I was living overseas. I was living in Pakistan for a while. And I would get so much mail, and I would get so many people saying, "What are you doing there? Don't you read the paper? And aren't you watching the movie Not Without Your Daughter?" And they were telling me all these horrible things that were happening. And I was living there, and nothing was happening that was horrible. I wasn't seeing anything that was even remotely related to what they showed on the media. I remember seeing a woman in a burqa once in Lahore, Pakistan, and we all looked at her. And the reason why I wore a scarf is because when I walked into the street and a bus fume came and it went into my mouth, I took my scarf and I went like this because I couldn't freaking breathe. It had nothing to do with the religion.
Can you breathe now?
I can breathe now. But, you know, this is what I'm saying is that all this stuff is fed into your brain and all this negativity. And I stopped listening and I stopped watching because I said to myself, I don't believe any of this, you know? You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your family. Believe in what's real, but don't believe what is said to you just because that's what they say. Who are they?
It's so interesting. If you've ever been involved in a news story, unfortunately I have been in one or two, the facts are always wrong. They got my name wrong. They got my town wrong.
They do get a lot wrong.
Where do they get it? This
I don't
is
know
what I don't, you know.
Considering they're supposed to be so responsible, the media on stories is often very irresponsible.
Yeah.
And then the story comes back a few weeks or a few days later in a little blurb of a correction when the damage is done. Janine and Tom and everyone, you know, we do these shows, so I'm going to start. Guys, we have a nice week coming up of business activity. I know we have a breakfast Thursday morning, 8 a.m. at the Business Corners. We have a Friday luncheon. The LIASB, the Long Island Advancement for Small Business, has a great breakfast going on Wednesday morning at Adelphi University. Our friends at the Melville Chamber have an event Thursday night. Just giving an example.
Just a small piece of what's going on.
Just a small piece of the example of what's going on. Tommy, anything going on in your world for Long Islanders that they should know about here?
There's events going on around Long Island in the city I think next week or the week after. But you could go to Long Island Business News, and there's a list of things that you can do. You could do something for lunch, breakfast, and dinner every single day on Long Island.
Breakfast, lunch, and
concerning business. Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing, guys, is this show, I got up the other day, this show is a guinea pig. It's a guinea pig for the business community to see if we could create our own show, the show from the hearts and minds of regular people. We got 2 minutes left. Ladies first. Janine, we have 2 minutes left. I'm giving you 30 to 45 seconds. Tell this world whatever you want to tell them.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I'm very excited about is, you know, I'm interested in opening up that store now in Woodbury.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually came back to me, and I think that's really going to happen.
Woodbury Commons?
Yeah, and, well, it's actually Woodbury Road and Jericho Turnpike. So I'm designing the collection. I'm still seeing my private clients. I still have my place here in Melville, but I'm very excited because I will most likely be opening up the store. And the store won't just only have, you know, the corporate clothing, but we'll also have the casual and this everything, soup to nuts. So I'm really, really excited about this.
I'm actually excited for you and want to work on that. What do you got, Tommy?
Well, I have a question. David and I both are not wearing ties. What's your feeling on men's ties these days?
Well, it goes back to what we said before. It depends on what the situation is. I mean, right now, we're chilling, we're hanging, it's morning, it's early. I mean, if we're sitting up in a tie and everything like that, it would be kind of, you know, wouldn't really suit us. But if you're in a business meeting later on today and you want to project a higher level of authority, you put the tie on, because the tie does project a higher level of authority. There's hierarchy in clothing, and that's what you need to know. You need to know the balance.
I would like to know more about that.
I'll teach it to you.
Tommy, and I think it's because of you, this hour went by so fast. 30 seconds, buddy. I brought you here for a great vibe. Give that great vibe to our viewers, buddy. What do you got?
Well, I feel that, you know, again, it's all about what Jeannie was saying and really getting focused on what's important to you on a daily basis and really being one kind of with yourself, and don't blow up things in your life to make yourself feel depressed about them, right? That's I think the biggest takeaway for me is everything is so blown out of proportion, and then you make yourself depressed because it's not about, you know, having enough. We always feel like we don't have enough, and we have everything.
Yeah, America, we're a bit spoiled, us Americans. And, man, to end the show, Tommy, thank you for joining us. Janine, thank you for joining us.
Thank
Eugene, or wherever you are, thank you for joining us. To our sponsors who make this show possible and keep all this business activity going in Long Island, we thank you so much. To our friends at Madhouse TV, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. And you know what? I'm going to repeat the quote. It's so good. Man, if you have the ability to make someone happy, do it. The world needs more of that. See you next week, ladies and gentlemen. Live from Long Island, Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. on Madhouse TV. Thank you.